Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is, and happy Mother's Day to all of you. And I know by the time you watch it, it's not going to be Mother's Day, but today is Happy Mother's Day, and Happy Mother's Day to Starlight. So anyway, I do love all of you. Make sure you're getting out in nature somewhere, go to a lake, a beach, a hiking trail, hey, take your mom out for a hiking trail today, or go to the beach with your mom, or, that would be a great gift for her. And it is hard because here I am somewhere in United States, and I can't spend time with my kids. But what I'm doing here is so much more important right now, is to do what God is wanting me to do right now, and that is to help people to wake up out of their sound sleep and to make videos how to be that change that we need to see in the world. So anyway, I do love all of you. Make sure, like Starlight has 2 bottles of water, and I do have a sandwich. Imagine that, a mushroom sandwich. So make sure, you get out somewhere. And if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome. And you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman, Starlight. Kathy with a K, Dingman, I mean. And also you can give this video a thumbs up. That is if you want to be that change. Don't want to just see, but be. Be is more important than just want to see a change in the world, don't you think? So let's try to be that change that we want to see in the world. And also, not only you can give my video a thumbs up, you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can leave a message down below, beep, beep, beep. And you could share my videos with anyone, your cat, dog, some church members. Also, don't forget the notification bell. That way you do not miss any videos. And don't forget to check out my playlist, because you never know what is on the playlist. There's a lot of different funky topics on there. If you don't know what a spiritual awakening is, or maybe you're thinking about going to church, there's videos on that to help you. Or maybe you're thinking about trying marijuana and you've never done it before. So I got all kinds of different topics out there, and it's not anything that I read out of a book. It's things that I've experienced in my life. So anyway, here we are. I just been only about 5 minutes on this trail, and let's get this video going now, because I don't know how long this trail is. It takes a long time to actually check out the reviews, so I didn't really check to see how long these trails last. So anyway, the title, I'm not 100% sure, but of course you clicked on this video, and it's not by any accident when you click on different videos on my YouTube. So today it is about, are you being controlled, forced, or dragged? Isn't that interesting? Are you being controlled, forced, or dragged? So that is the topic of this video today. So right now I got some people coming up. So anyway, in life, as you grow up, you're being taught by your parents, like the do's and don'ts as far as being a kid. And so, are you being forced, controlled, or dragged is the title of this video. And so what are you? Are you being forced, controlled, or dragged? And here we go, the hiking trail. And it's so important to figure out, okay, am I being forced? Is anybody in your life right now forcing you to do something going against your own free will? Are you in any kind of relationship? Is somebody, in your life forcing you to do things that you don't want to do? And you might think that's crazy, but that happens more than people admit. There's people that are being forced, controlled, or dragged, and which one are you? Are you being any of those? Is somebody forcing you to do things? Or are they controlling your life? Are they telling you what you can and you can't do? Or are you being dragged? I know that sounds crazy. How could somebody be dragging me? And I'm going to explain as I go through this video, because there's so many things that I wanted to talk to about today, but I really feel strong to make this video today, is because if you have not been to church, or maybe you've never read a Bible at all in your life, because, hey, that could have happened to me. But Starlight read the Bible when she was younger. And 95 is when I started learning about reading the Bible. And, you know, right from the very beginning, and I didn't know it, is the church that found me at a cemetery, because I had a close friend that passed away, and it was 3 days, I think, before my birthday. So it was devastating to lose this person, and nobody, you don't see it coming. A lot of people, sometimes they don't see it coming. Sometimes a doctor will say, well, you got this long to live, and a lot of times they're wrong. They end up living for a long time. A lot of times doctors are wrong, and they say you'll never walk again, and now they're walking around. So doctors really don't have it down, but sometimes they might have it. They might say, yeah, you're not going to have long, and then the family knows, okay, this person's not going to be around long, So, and I believe it's really about your will to live. If you don't want to live any longer, or you believe what the doctor says, and I believe those things can happen where we might not be able to live much longer because we believe what the doctor says. But I also believe that it is possible, if you're a fighter and you really want to live, and you don't want to end your life, or you want to keep going. I believe that you can have that strength to actually keep living. But it all goes to whether you're how God actually has it all set up. If it's your time, it is your time. That's period. A period at the end of that sentence. So sometimes it's not our time to get out of here. It's, God still has us here for a reason. But besides talking about that part, about people leaving this world, is when I was at the funeral, is, I was lied to first thing, from this church, but I didn't know any better. I just believed what they were telling me. They, and this is what a lot of churches do, and this is not what I'm going to talk about on this title, on this video, is that they told me, like, hey, if you don't get right with God, you're going to go to hell, pretty much. And I believed them. But see, that was a lie from the very beginning. So yes, I did go to 2 cult churches. One that wasn't so noticeable, and that's how they have it, is, and I heard I got to bring this up since I'm talking about this. I heard something this morning, and it was something else. I'm like, you're so right. If you want to hide something, and this is what they've done with the Matrix here, and this is in our reality, is you hide things right in plain sight. Because, see, nobody's going to think that it's going to be right in plain sight when you hide something. Normally, when people hide things, they want to hide it. They're like, let me think of where I'm going to hide it. So they might hide it not in that space, and that's exactly where people are going to look. But, if you really want to hide something, if you hide it right in plain sight, they're going to overlook it. And that's how this Matrix stuff goes, but that's not the topic I'm going to talk about either. Starlight can easily get off track on these topics because there's so many things, with reality and life itself. But back to, being deceived at a church is, in the Bible, I wanted to bring up, is in the Bible, it says God gave us all a free will. And so, that is the whole thing, is we have a free will, but none of us know this or even understand this. I'm just going to zoom over here. It's nothing really pretty, but so God gave us a free will to decide on our own what is right or wrong to do in our life. So it's not up to, I am a teacher teaching people on different topics because of my life experience, helping people out. But really, it comes down to that you got to figure out what works for you. So, you're either being, you might not be any of these, you might be being controlled. Is there people in your life that is controlling you? I got to look at this map really quick. Where I am here. So, there you are, the red dot. Okay, that's where I am. All right, I'm going to take this over here. So, there's relationships where you might be in a relationship that is controlling you, men or women. It's not just the women that are, it's not just women controlling men. There could be men controlling women, and and that's a tough deal. You got to find what really works for you, because we all like different things, or, and these days, a lot of women are standing up because they don't want a man controlling them because, maybe their mom went through stuff, or maybe they witnessed, where a man was too dominating over the mom, and so there's times that we're in relationships that are not healthy, where they control us, about who we should hang out with, And I understand, though, there's sometimes that we do need to be protected. Like if there's somebody that is causing problems in the relationship, in a healthy relationship, sometimes we need to recognize these things. Sorry, I got some people coming up. So, are you being controlled in a relationship? Are you in a healthy relationship? In relationships, you should not be forced to do anything against your own free will. So those are things to protect yourself is, if you want to go visit your parents and the wife is like, no, you're not going to go. You got to stay here, or, this happens with both sexes, men and females, where, then relationships, somebody could be over controlling. What about your mom and dad? Or, how old are you? And your mom is telling you you need to do this, and you need, because you think, wow, she's my mom, I got to listen to her. Are you living in the house, or are you on your own? Are you working? Are you paying for your own bills? Are you, or are you living in their house? If you're not living in your mom's house anymore, and you're an adult and you don't have any disabilities that your mom has to tell you what to do to help you out, to protect you, you don't have to listen to your mom. Is your dad telling you what kind of job you should get? And, this is, I was a cop, now you need to be a cop. Or, I was, I did this, I'm a doctor, you need to be a doctor. Do you have to listen to your dad or your mom if you're not living with them anymore? And even if you are living with them, like if you're 18 years old and you're still living with your mom and dad, your future, it should be up to you what you decide to do. And you got to really be careful when it comes to parents, because sometimes they will hold things over the children. And I've seen this right in my face growing up through my life, is where moms and dads might have they might have lots of money, or they might have lots of land. And this happens a lot to the kids. Is sometimes what happens is that, your parents could be promising you to, hey, if you do what I want you to do later on, this all could be yours, But even if it's written on paper, that doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit. Yes, Starlight did swear again. How many times? But, it doesn't mean anything if somebody even went to the lawyer and did a will and put your name in the will, and said, hey, my son or my daughter, on these circumstances, that if they take care of me and if they live near me and all this, that when I pass away, when I leave this world, they can have this land, or, this house, or this trailer, or this money, and then they sign a name and they date it. Well, hello, they could actually go back in to the same lawyer. Say if you decide, you know what, I want the land, I want the house, I want the money. But, a lot in this, there's a movie called Greed, I think, by Michael J. Fox. Awesome movie. I laughed my ass off. So I was like, this is so real, it hurts. Sometimes you watch a movie, it's so real in your life at that time that you're like, man, it's not even funny, but it's so real. That was a great, it's either Greed or Greedy, but, and it's about a person that was rich, and and this happens to people. They're like, yeah, I want to live there. I want that land. I want that house. I want that money. I want those. Maybe your dad's got guns. You're like, man, those are guns from, my grandfather and their grandfather. And yeah, I want those guns. I'll do whatever it takes to get those guns. And here you're only 18 years old. How old is your dad? We'll just say like 60, 60 years old or something like that. And you're like, you thinking that, hey, he won't be around long, before I'll have all that, and I'll tell you, you have to really watch out what you have people making arrangements like this, as far as like a will or any kind of signing papers and all that stuff, that, people will try to force you or trick you in some ways to have you, hey, if you do this, then all this is yours later on when I pass away. But it's not guaranteed. You could do everything that they wanted you to do, and right at the, if you don't do something exactly, maybe one time you slipped a little bit and didn't exactly do everything that was on that will, and then, or you get in a fight with your parents or family or relative, and then they get upset and they can go to the lawyer and change, like rip that paper up, that will, and say, I don't want him having anything or her to have anything. So you got to really be careful what you get yourself into, because it could be a trick, and you could have, ruined your whole life over thinking that you're going to get rich quick later on in your life, and thinking that you're going to be all set later on in your life, and then find out that, you were deceived. So this is all history stuff here. I don't know. There's a thing over here. So that's some kind of way of being forced to do something, is that you're kind of being forced and to doing stuff that you really don't want, but you want to do it because you're thinking, it says Brownlee Cabin Site. So must have been a cabin here a long time ago. So the other thing that happens is, like at churches, like I put not too long ago, is about cult churches where they force you to do different things at the church. Like, they take your free will away and say, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. And, you want to do this, you want to do that, you wanted to watch TV, but they said, no, you can't. You wanted to listen to the radio, and they said, no, you can't. Women wanted to wear pants, but they couldn't. Women wanted to speak up and use their voice, but they couldn't. Men wanted to, what did men want to do? Men wanted to have a voice, but they couldn't, because they were controlled on what they could or couldn't say. So you gotta really, are you being controlled? So those are different, like I said, relationships, and it could be all kinds of stuff, even at work, or even friends. Are your friends controlling you and different things, and saying you got to do this or you got to do that, and that you got to really protect yourself. Do you really want to do? I am teaching my daughter, a lot of times what happens is that we have a guilt trip. We feel guilty, like somebody will say, hey, you want to hang out later? And you might not want to hang out later. Maybe where they're going, you don't feel comfortable. Maybe you find out, hey, who's going to be there? Or sometimes they don't even tell you who's going to be there, and it's a surprise later on where you're like, oh no. So Starlight dealt with this a long time ago in her life, is that I felt under pressured, and I found myself saying yes to everything, and I didn't want to go. I didn't, and then when I found out who was going to be there, I didn't want to be around those people. So this is what you got to really, listen to your intuition, listen to you, and this is what happens is that a lot of times people feel pressured, and then there's some people that are really good at making you feel pressured, where they put a guilt trip on you and making you think that, hey, I was there for you. Now you gotta be there for me. And I can't really see very much here with all these bushes here, but so being controlled, are you going against your own self to please others? And it's so important to understand, like, you gotta say, hey, if I don't want to go to the bar with my friends, and the people that are going to be there, and you might be thinking, if I go there, there's always a fight, there's always, sometimes they bring out drugs that I don't want to do, and there's people that, I like some of the people there when we go and hang out at the bar, but I don't like all the guys or girls that are going to be there, and you might even have 2 or 3 people or young kids saying, hey, come on out, and then you might feel, oh, I got to, they're my friends. I can't say no to my friends. I can't say to, like, what am I going to say? What am I going to say to get out of this? I don't want to go. I really just tonight, I just want to relax at my house, at my apartment or wherever you live. And maybe you feel like doing something different. Maybe you don't want to go to the bar. Maybe you're tired of going to the bar. And that's okay. Is that, you have to, the thing is, I don't want to teach you to lie, but you got to be truthful with yourself, number one. If you don't want to go with your friends to the bar, or, to, maybe they're going to even go to a friend's house, and have a party. And you've been to these parties before. You know what goes on at these parties. A lot of wild, crazy stuff happens. They get too intoxicated, and before you know it, they're driving around, and acting strange, driving while intoxicated. And that you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to be around them when they're like that, because you're not certain of what's going to happen later on, and if it's going to get out of control or not. So you got to be honest with yourself first. And, if you don't want to go, there's nothing stopping you from saying, I don't want to go. Sorry, you know what? I want to do something different. And you don't really have to explain and tell them everything, because a lot of times people will try to talk you out of it. They'll try to say, oh, you could do that another day. So it's best just to say, I don't want to go, and, that's it, period. I don't want to go. And that is what I've been teaching my daughter, is that you don't have to explain shit. If you don't want to go later on Friday, a lot of times they'll try to ask you ahead of time, it's almost like they get you to sign like a statement like, hey, you said you're going to be here on Friday. We expect you to be here on Friday. If it's a place that is not good for you to go, you don't have to feel pressured to go into those places that you don't want to go to. So even though you might have said, yes, I'm going to go there, this is what happened to Starlight over and over again when I was growing up, is that I have to go now. I told them, word is bond, right? They say word is bond. But in these circumstances, when you say something and it's not going to be a good thing, it's not going to, you can actually say, you know what? It's okay to change your mind. You know what? And if they are really your friends, they're going to understand. But then just be cautious the next time, is even if you got to practice, in the mirror and say, maybe they invited you, and before you just give an answer, what I had to learn when I was younger is, like, I will think about it. You don't have to say yes or no. Or if you're strong enough and just say no, then say no. But if you're not strong enough to say no right now, because it does take time to be brave and to voice what it is that you want or don't want. So controlled. We already touched on, are you being controlled? And these are different ways, and there's so many more. Are you being controlled or forced? Is somebody forcing, like out here, I see it all the time. Like, there's people who might force somebody to do stuff, so you don't want anybody to force you to do anything and going against what you want, so don't let anybody force you to do drugs and stuff like that. If you're around people that are forcing you to do things that you don't want to do, you really need to get out of their life. You need to let them go and, find better, friends that are going to actually support and love you and not to try to control or force anything on you. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens, and it doesn't even matter what age, but it does happen a lot when people are young because it's like a deer, and it's like having a young deer. The does will let their children know, not to do this, and they try to train up those their babies, about safety. And, that's why a lot of hunters, if they can't get the buck or a doe, they will shoot the young ones because the young ones are, they don't know what fear is at that point until, that was a snake. So, you gotta, and when you're young, that's why people are, quick to try to deceive the young ones because they know that they're not fully grown yet and they can easily get deceived. So you do have to be careful if you're young, and it doesn't even matter about age. Everybody's different as far as being deceived. You could even be older and maybe you never experienced those kind of things. So you got to be wise about people deceiving you and controlling you or forcing you to do anything. And the other thing is, are you being dragged? And you're like, no, Starlight, I am not being dragged. Are you sure? I heard somebody say this a while back and it was kind of weird. I was like, I'd rather do something willingly on my own instead of being dragged. How about you? Would you rather be dragged or see something that is not good for you and say, you know what? I know, like in a relationship, I know you're not healthy for me. I know, I keep on thinking that maybe you'll change, and a lot of times they don't. So that happens on the men and the women, is a lot of times we think, I've been with them, or they feel stuck in that relationship is because, man, we've been together for 3 years and I want to grow, but they don't want to grow. And, where you might not be interested in, maybe you were doing drugs before, but now you're growing and you want to let go of those things. Maybe you used to go to bar together, and that person still loves going to the bar. Maybe you used to drink together, and get a little wasted and have a little too much to drink and do things that you should not have been doing. But now you're growing up. Now you're actually saying, I really don't want to do those things anymore. And maybe you're in a relationship that is not healthy. And, this is what happens sometimes is, and it's a painful thing, but it's really necessary, is God does not force stuff on us. And God is, doesn't control us. God gave us a free will to decide on our own. Like, if I didn't want to be in the situation that I am in now, which I'm being guided every day because that's exactly what I want. I know that when I was running my life, I did make a mess out of it. And that's why I am letting God, I'm having God, the universe, guide me to help me because I need the help. There's a difference. So I'm asking God to help and guide me. So that way I don't get deceived. That way things that I desire in my life will happen as long as I trust and believe and watch look for those numbers and signs so I know what I need to do. Right now, the universe has been reaching out to me and giving me information, because sometimes we don't know what to do. And then we have to ask for guidance. So I'm being guided every day. So, but what happens sometimes, and this is what happened to Starlight years ago, is if you are in a unhealthy relationship, not just men can be abusive to women, but women can be abusive to men. So if you are in an unhealthy relationship, God might drag you out of it to protect you, because God sees things that you don't see in your future, and you might have a purpose in life. And if you keep on going down that road, God knows where it's going to take you, where you can't see what's going to happen later on. So sometimes God does pull us out of situations to protect us, not to put harm on us. And we might kick and scream and get upset, but it's for our safety. It's not actually to hurt us. So there is a force out there that believes in forcing you to obey. And this is where, you have to be careful, is that there's people out there, a force, that, and this is why I don't really believe everything in the Bible about beating your kids with a rod, is because, I'm going through stuff where God is so patient with me. The universe is so patient with me. And I can't see or believe that God would want to beat us, to force us to do stuff. In the church that I came from, that's what they were doing. They were beating these kids, and that is by force. So a lot of these cult churches, they believe we need to force you, control you, and that's controlling you, and that's taking your power away, whether you understand that or not. So there's a lot of people in these areas where I've been traveling, there's a lot of religious people out, and they don't want to hear these kind of videos because they've been programmed to avoid stuff like this. Because I've been there. I know how it works. I've been there. They program these people to not to click on these videos because they plant them with fear, and they put doubt, and they put lies, and they feed them all this stuff to get them to believe it, so they never can get free from those cult churches out there. And God is trying to free people so they're not being forced or controlled. And what I've been learning is to go with the flow. Do you go, like on a river, do you swim with the river, flow with the river? Or on a boat, would you try to, like with a boat is different, but, it's just like swimming against the current is very hard. Just like if me with the ocean, I go in the ocean a lot, and Starlight's been knocked on her ass in the ocean where those, when I'm going towards those waves, that's like, now if I go the opposite direction, it's going with the flow. But if I go directly at those waves, sometimes those waves are so big, it knocks me on my ass. It makes me flip backwards. And, like I said, that one video, I got tossed backwards because those waves are really big. I'm just learning the power of these waves. And bam, smash, there goes Starlight's head in the sand. I know some of you are probably laughing, but man, you wait until you get your day. It hurt. Like, I heard a crack, and I was like, ooh, there goes Starlight, lights out for her. But I was protected. I pray when I go out, and challenge those waves, But if you're going against the current, God loves us so much. God doesn't want to make things hard for us. And that's what ends up happening when you go against what God has already planned for you. And, God knows exactly what you desire, all that. And it's all here. It's all, it's when you do that inside work inside of you is when you discover how to get those things. Everything that you're searching for is not out here, but it's inside of you. So it's so important to spend time with yourself and learn how to meditate and learn how to self-love and all that stuff. And that's, the more you do that, the more, it's like layer after layer is when you're going to reveal really the things that God has for you. So, I don't know if you're being forced, controlled, or dragged. And Starlight's had all of them. I have been controlled, I have been forced, and I have been dragged. And I'll tell you, when I was in a relationship before COVID, not in a relationship, we were just so close as friends. We hung out every weekend. And what did God do? God dragged me out of that relationship. God seen what was going to come before I knew what was going to come. And I didn't see it, so I am so grateful God dragged me out of that relationship, because it was not a relationship, it was a friendship, because we were not having sex or anything. It's just that we were getting that close. And I knew this guy 20 plus years, and so I just hope that you're not going through any of these, being forced or controlled or dragged. But sometimes, if you're in an unhealthy relationship, there's, God could actually drag you out of that, because God just loves us so much. God does not want us to be in those unhealthy relationships, where we're being abused or whatever. So anyway, whew, I'm walking uphill. I did want a good workout today. So anyway, I do love you so much, and God loves you so much. And if you're being forced, controlled, that is not God. I've been asking for help and guidance every day. Like, okay, universe, what am I supposed to do today? Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to, So now I'm getting information from my archangels of what God wants me to do and where I'm supposed to go. And I'm not saying any of that here on this video. I'm just going to do that stuff that, the universe has in store for me. So I got a lot of work. And it is so important, don't get dragged. We get dragged sometimes. Even maybe you're at a workplace. It doesn't even have to be relationships. Maybe you're in a workplace. It's, they're treating you like a slave and you're not getting paid for what you're worth. Sometimes we're dragged out of those places just to help us out, to say, you know what, they didn't love you anyway. You couldn't go on vacation, you couldn't get a break, you're working overtime, not getting paid enough money, and then they're, giving you work that's too hard for many hours that you're working. So God will pull us out of those, drag us out of those places to keep us safe. So I really hope you get a lot of help from these videos, and you can also follow me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman. And also you could give this video a thumbs up. You can leave a message down below, beep, beep, beep. And don't forget the playlist, and don't forget the notification bell. And you can follow me on Instagram, and that is at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. I love you so much. That was a lot of information in one video, so I really hope you get a lot from this video. So don't let people control you. Don't let people, don't let, people forcing you to do what? Controlling you, like, why can't you wear those pants? Why, like, how come you can't go where? You want to go to the mall, but you can't, So, you want to do this, you want to watch TV, but, you're forced that you can't. You're the only one that's letting this happen, and you're the one that's got to tell people no. Even if you got to go in the mirror and say, no, you know what? I don't need to be here. I'm cutting those chains. I am taking those handcuffs off. I have, I got the key. I got the key to the handcuffs. I'm the one that can save myself from this situation. So anyway, unlock those handcuffs, take off the chains, be free the way God wants you to be. Don't let other people tell you what to do. Starlight is just a teacher guiding. I'm a teacher to guide you and help you out, so it will set you free. I love you so much. This is Starlight. This is Starlight, love, light, and peace.